All right, here it comes. Now that we're at the end of this month and you've listened to a lot of the really great information that my expert, Mary Bushkuhl, has been sharing with us on menopausal health, metabolism health, all the health that we need for women in midlife. Please, if you haven't listened, go back to those first two episodes because they have a lot of information. But today, my friends, what we're going to be talking about is exercise. This is kind of traditionally what we start thinking about when we're in January. And I, on purpose, like her program, wanted to bring this in at the very end of the month because I don't think it's the place that we should lead. Nutrition is learning about our bodies, listening to our symptoms, knowing what they mean. That's where we need to begin. That's really the ground floor. But here is some information that she has for us today on how to incorporate exercise and how it looks different at this phase in our life. Keep listening.
I know your deep, dark secret. You don't like your life. You're a woman in midlife, and for the past 2 decades or more, you've poured yourself in to other people. You've poured yourself into your career, your family, and yet on the inside, you feel broken. And that's no way to be. I'm Dr. Natalie and Mary. I'm a clinical psychologist and a life transition expert. It wasn't too long ago that I was in your shoes, waking up in my early 40s thinking I've got 2 failed marriages and I'm a single mom for the second time in my life. And I just knew that I could do better, that I could feel better. Fortunately for you, I have about 20 years experience clinically. And so I've created a method that will help you learn to love your story. I know that the story that you're telling yourself about your life feels awful. And I know that you think that you can't change that. I assure you, you can. And when we work together, I'm going to help you to craft a different story, a story that you love, a story that makes you want to get up every single day.
Welcome back, everybody. I know you're excited. You're excited because you've heard Mary talk the last 2 episodes about her program, about why she parses it out in these 3 different phases. And this phase is exercise today that we're going to dive into. But if you don't know about Mary yet, let me introduce you to her. Well, let us welcome Mary Bushkuhl to our podcast. Let me tell you a little bit about her before we get started. So Mary empowers others to architect their dream so they can live the adventure of their full potential. And her personal mission is to be a constant positive force, maintaining the highest ethical integrity and striving to always do the right thing. The strength of what Mary Bushkuhl does lies in a deep respect for education and staying on the cutting edge of the latest research and trends in the areas of health and wellness. She is compassionate and empathetic and an outgoing personality, which allows her to get along with people from all walks of life. She also has a deep desire to help you feel better, look better, and improve your outlook on life. Her specialties include senior fitness, high school, collegiate, and adult athletes, weight loss or weight gain programs, individuals with health challenges, programming for the menopausal woman. And that is why we have invited her to be with us today. So welcome, Mary. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
I am excited, Natalie, and I hope that I can drop some major gold nuggets to help women in this part of our life.
So hello again, listeners. We're back with Mary, and she's going to talk now about exercise. So we've kind of gone through in the beginning part about nutrition for menopausal women. We've talked about symptoms and how to manage those with different things in our first 2 episodes of this series. If you haven't watched those, go back. And today she's going to talk about what traditionally in January we're all thinking about, which is how should I change up my exercise plan? So jump in, Mary. Tell us about this.
What you've been doing up to this point is no longer working.
Tell me about it.
So what you've been taught no longer works. So the 45 minutes on the elliptical, the lifting, the 5-pound weights for 15 to 20 reps, those kinds of things are not adequate for improving our bone, our muscle, or our body composition. So we have to change things up. What I mean by that is no longer is working out in the middle any good, because we have this wonderful stress hormone called cortisol just rampaging our body, and we don't know without estrogen, or with estrogen regulation being all over the place, our cortisol level stays high. And so that amount of stress on the body then starts to factor in, and inflammation goes up, and body fat goes up, and muscle mass goes down, and all of these wonderful things that happen.
I'm just going to stop you there, because I want to remind my listeners that what she's really talking about, cortisol being a stress hormone, right? What she's really saying, and what we really need to recognize, is that it isn't that women in midlife are more stressed out. Although you might be, I don't know what your life circumstances are, but life transitions do cause some amount of extra stress that's over and above what our normal table of stress is. But what has happened is our capacity for stress management has been reduced. Period. End of sentence. That is a biological phenomena, and so you need to start to work around that in your midlife and moving forward. So keep going, Mary, keep enlightening us on this. But yeah, that middle kind of running and doing cardio exhaustively 4 or 5 times a week is only going to drive that cortisol up more. So instead of helping us with that stress management table, it actually is further compromising us, is what I'm hearing you say.
Right. And so if you're going, well, what do you mean by the middle? What do you mean by the middle, Mary? Okay. We have always been taught you should be working at a heart rate between 70 and 80% of your max heart rate. That no longer works. Now, as a woman who's transitioning, we need to focus on the low and the high. So we're working at 69% or less, or above 80%. And what I mean by that is, especially when you're looking at cardio, yes, we our risk of cardiovascular disease goes up. So we do need to maintain good cardiovascular health. But we also have to teach our body how to manage the cortisol. And every time you exercise, your cortisol level is going to go up. And we have to teach our bodies now. Our bodies used to be able to do this without being taught. But now that the estrogen has left, there's no regulator. So we have to now take control of teaching our body how to bring our cortisol level down. So first, let's start with cardiovascular exercise. So no longer that 70 to 80%, that middle ground no longer is serving us. Now, if you are an endurance athlete and you're training for a marathon, sometimes you're going to have to be there because of the nature of the training and your ultimate goal. But for the average person who's not, all I want to do is burn fat. Well, we were made to burn fat. It's just, anyway, so what you want to do is most days you want to work at the lower end, the 60 to 69%. And what that is a conversational pace. So when let's say Dr. Natalie and I go out for a walk and I set the pace and she's going, so Mary, that's too hard for Natalie. That's too hard for her.
Yes.
So we want to find a conversational pace, or conversational pace where we're able to talk a full sentence before having to take a breath. Like, oh my gosh, Natalie, look at that bird up there. Breathe. It's not like, oh, wow. So that's what you're doing. Then 1 to 2 times a week, I encourage you to shift your cardiovascular to what is called a sit workout. That is a sprint interval training. And what you do is you let's say that I'm going to use the bicycle, but you can do this with any cardiovascular piece of equipment. So on the bicycle, I warm up for 5 to 10 minutes, get my heart rate up, but not up into that 70 to 80%. And then I have a 2-minute window. So in that 2-minute window, the first 20 to 30 seconds of that 2-minute window, I give it everything I got. Okay. So, but you want to give it so that by the end of the 20 seconds or the end of the 30 seconds, you're like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I just want to fall off the bike and lay on the floor and die. But you want to push yourself hard. And then that next minute 30, minute 40 seconds, you are just coasting. You're recovering. You're not trying to, your intention is to take the heart rate, which should have gotten above 80%. Your intention is to try to bring it back down to 60%. So if you're wearing a heart rate monitor, then and what that does is you spike your cortisol, and then you teach your body how to bring that cortisol level down by doing very, very, very light exercise. So you have that 5 to 10 minute warm up, then you do a sit interval. And the sit intervals can be anywhere from 4 to 12 intervals. So if you have a very your day is jam packed and you're going, but I want to get something in. Just do that 5 to 10 minute warm up, do 4 intervals, which is 8 minutes, and then do another 5-minute cool down. And within 20 minutes, you've stimulated your body enough to get some benefit from that.
So tell me again, SIT stands for?
Sprint interval training.
Sprint interval training. Okay. Yeah.
So that's 1 to 2 times a week. Okay. So you're looking at, if you were to do the full thing, it would be maybe 30, 35 minutes. Notice I'm not at 45 minutes to an hour. But also doing that sprint interval, you're also stimulating your muscle with power, which also builds muscle, builds your mitochondria, which are your energy centers, your precious energy centers. So you don't need to go long, slow distance. You don't have to do LSD, as I say. You can get in, get out, get going with that.
That's so tolerable. Twice a week to do that seems so much less daunting to me. Yeah.
1 to 2 times a week. It's like mentally that clicked with me because with my energy level being like nothing, I was, and I'm coming back to being a runner. But for me to say, okay, I got to go out and run 3 to 5 miles with my energy level down in the basement somewhere, and I was trying to find it. For me to get on a bicycle and say, okay, all I want you to do is go hard for 20 seconds. And then you get the rest of the 2 minutes just to recover. I could do that. I could handle that. So if you're struggling with that with your energy or with anxiety, it really helps too. It's amazing.
Well, it would, because anxiety is also driven by cortisol, and so, part of it is. And so if what you're doing is teaching your body to bring cortisol levels down, to have short bursts of lots of cortisol, and then teach your body to regulate short bursts and regulate. Yeah, that's going to help your anxiety tolerance as well. Absolutely.
And the next thing, everybody, unless you've been living under a rock, knows HIIT. Everybody's heard HIIT. High intensity interval training. High intensity interval training, it can be so many different things. There are so many variations of HIIT. And if you work with a personal trainer or you go to a gym or a CrossFit gym, they have HIIT. Everybody has HIIT. But what's great about HIIT, again, is you're going hard for a period of time, and then you get that rest. And HIIT has been really shown to help reduce body composition. So if you're wanting to try to reduce your body fat, HIIT has shown, well, sit also, all of these, everything that I'm going to go over today does that. It really helps. It really helps. But with HIIT, that's also 1 to 2 times a week. Too many people think they got to go hard all the time. And you don't. Especially at this time in our life, we want to give our bodies that time to recover, that time to relax, that time to come back in within, rather than do. So if you do 1 to 2 times of sit, 1 to 2 times of HIIT. So let's say you do 1 HIIT that week, then you can do 2 sit, or reverse that. You don't want, like the guys say, balls to the wall, all the time. You want to give your body that break.
How is HIIT different than sit? So high interval training, is there another, I don't know if I just missed it, or is there another, like you do it for this many seconds and that many minutes you're recovering?
Okay. Well, with HIIT, you can have like Tabata. You've heard of Tabata, which is like 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. And you go for, it's usually 6 rounds, and then you get a couple of minute break. Or a HIIT workout can be a circuit. I do a lot of circuits with people where, it's an AMRAP, which is as many rounds as possible. And I give you like 7 or 8 exercises with the amount of reps that I want you to do. And you have 22 minutes to complete as many rounds as you can. You take breaks when you need it. Type thing. So you're constant, and you're bringing in strength training. You're bringing in lifting weights, your body weight exercises, those kinds of things. And so that's that. Anything else for HIIT?
No, I just want to make sure that my listeners know kind of what's the difference between those two.
Mm-hmm. Sit is 20 to 30 seconds, and then the rest of the 2 minutes. Whereas a HIIT can be 20 seconds hard, 10 seconds rest for 6 rounds, and then you get a 2-minute rest. Or it can be a circuit. It's something that you're going hard for a period of time, and then you get that rest.
Gotcha.
And then the last thing is what Dr. Stacy T. Sims says is lifting heavy shit.
I love it. I love it.
And women, if you are in a gym, you need to take over the weight room. Tell the guys to get out. The weight room is now your domain because not enough women are hitting the weights. And we need heavy weightlifting to stimulate muscle growth, to stimulate bone mass growth, and to stimulate that neuromuscular connection. It is huge brain health stimulant. So the harder that you lift, or the heavier you lift, the better it's going to be for our brains. Now, if you are a newbie to weightlifting, I start you with a body weight program. Okay. So you are learning how to move properly, because a lot of women don't know how to move right. So you're learning how to squat correctly, how to lunge correctly, how to do a push-up correctly, how to deadlift correctly, all of these things. Once you have done like a 4 to 6 week body weight routine, then we move to dumbbells, and we start working with dumbbells. And then eventually you get to the barbells, because barbells can be very intimidating, especially when most of us have seen men using barbells, but women, and the only time we've ever seen women using barbells are your bodybuilders. I don't want to be a bodybuilder. Your athletes. Oh, it's only for athletes, the female athletes. But it's becoming more mainstream for women now. And I will tell you, when I shifted my program and I started doing sit 1 to 2 times a week, hit 1 to 2 times a week, lifting 2 to 3 times a week. And there are ways to program so that you're getting what you need, but you're not in the gym for hours. This is 45 minutes is the most you'll ever be in the gym for lifting heavy shit. You know, you're not in there for hours and hours. So women who are going, oh my God, I'm going to have to dedicate X number of hours per week to this. All of a sudden, now you're looking at maybe 3 to 4 hours a week minimum. I mean, that's just to get by and to stimulate the body in the way that it needs to be. But when I shifted and started lifting heavier and doing the sit, doing the hit, yeah, I would go out and walk. Sometimes I'd go run. But when I run, I have to think about running embarrassingly slow now because I want to keep my heart rate down below 70%. And my ego gets in the way too many times. And, I'll be going super slow. Okay. Heart rate's good. Oh, there's somebody coming. I pick up the pace. I look great, all this stuff. So anyways, so that's the biggest thing is overcoming that ego. Let go of it. But when I started doing this I went and had an in-body scan before I started. A year later, I had an in-body scan and I had gained 2 pounds of muscle. If I had not done anything or had continued the road I was on, I would have lost at least 2 pounds of muscle. So you've got to look at, okay, what is my intention for my workout now? I want to keep the muscle mass because that's where your metabolism optimizes, is with the muscle mass.
Yes, it is with the muscle mass. Right. And that's saying something when you've told us through this, like this is the time in our life too, that we're, it was catabolically losing. Is that right? Losing more muscle. And so to gain 2 pounds of muscle mass, that's huge for you. That's really big.
It's very huge. And so when you're in this time of your life, what is your intention? My intention is to reduce my stress level, continue to improve my cardiovascular health, increase my muscle mass so that my metabolism stays high so that I can continue to eat and to reduce my risk of osteoporosis.
I want to do that middle one again, though, because it goes back to that diet culture thing. Like we're increasing our muscle mass so that we can eat regularly, so that we can energy input and stop this madness of I've got to restrict myself.
Correct. Yes. And I hope to God my dogs, you didn't hear my dogs.
I'm sure you did, but that's okay. I heard a little bit of them and listeners, this is real world, right? We know this. I think I had the garbage truck come by at some point during that too. So we're just going to keep rolling with it. This is real world.
So my parting message on exercise is no longer do you have to be a slave in the gym. You only really need 30 to 45 minutes at 45 minutes at the most. And those are on your heavy lifting days. Cardiovascularly, you really don't need more than 20, 25 minutes of doing something. Now on those other days that let's say that you do a sit Monday morning and then you lift heavy Monday afternoon, Tuesday comes along, you most probably like, I am so tired and sore from my workouts Monday. That's where yoga, stretching, go in the sauna, get in the hot tub, be kind to your body. Don't go, okay, I got to work through this. No longer are you doing that. And then Wednesday you do, you decide, okay, Wednesday's a hit day. And then Thursday, okay, Wednesday was a hit day, but I feel pretty good Thursday. So I'm going to go ahead and do my heavy weight lifting again. You decide how your body is feeling in that day. don't follow a regimented, okay, I've got to do this on Monday, this on Tuesday, this on Wednesday. I find that with my body, I have to pivot a lot, because if I haven't fully recovered from a workout, I'm not going to put my body through something that it's telling me, no, this is not what I need today. I need to be nurtured. I need that relaxation. It's okay. You don't have to be on all the time. You can step back. And so my big thing is, listen to your body. If your body's saying, I need another day of rest, take it. I mean, you're not going to all of a sudden start back at square one. No, your body needs that extra time.
It does. It definitely does. And I also know that there is such a parallel to what you've described through this whole three-phase process with my program. And that is like, number one, we've got to be more compassionately self-aware is how I describe it, but we have to be, dialed into ourselves and listening to the messaging. Number two, we need self-empowered decisions. Like, we need to be moving out of programmed, this is the way it should be. You should be able to keep up with the Joneses over on this side of things. We need to just understand that our body chemistry and our body makeup is very different at this time in our life. Our body, or our mind and body, both, right? I think in this life transition, there's just different things that we need. So stop beating ourselves up over the old way of doing things isn't working, and start just accepting, if I listen to my body and do some things and see if that works, and listen to my body and do some things, like, that's the self-empowered way to kind of step into this. And it really is all about a radical way of caring for yourself, like listening to your body, taking care of your energy intake and output is just one of the many ways in which you're taking care of yourself as a human. And I think we've kind of put that to the wayside for a long time. Women have been socially conditioned to put that away and to put everybody else's needs first. And so this is just this beautiful way that you're describing, like, stay in tune with you and do what's right for you. And your version of what this looks like, this 3 phases, is different from mine, is different from Mary's. That's totally fine. It's an individual journey that way. Yeah, totally.
Another thing with exercise is, if you find something you love to do, put it into your exercise program. I mean, I have so many people have found pickleball, and I mean, pickleball. Okay, yeah, that's a great. It moves your body. It's socially engaging. It's very rewarding, especially if you slam the ball and you make a point or whatever. I don't play pickleball yet. I mean, I've got too many other things on my plate to play pickleball. But if it's going out and walking with a friend, that's activity, that's exercise. So if you find something that you enjoy and it's actually empowering to you, as you've been saying, do it. Put it into your life, because at this time in our life, we finally get a chance to go, oh, I can decide on what's good for me. I don't have to decide what's good for everybody else, and I just follow along. So yeah, that's the big thing. It's like, like the running, and trying to find the, running in a certain, in a certain zone. Well, one day a week, and hopefully I'll be able to start running with my running partner again. She's been sick for almost 4 weeks. It's been hell, but that is my connection time with her. So we go out and run. I don't care where my heart rate is. I don't care. My whole focus is connection. And that is so important to me. And if I'm running and I go, I don't have it today, let's walk. Hey, we're going to walk today.
Yeah. Same thing with any of the, like, I just recently have tried out a gym that's run by a woman locally in my neighborhood. And her demographic is me. Her demographic is women, right? Like her demographic is to help women start weightlifting, start circuit training, start kind of understanding that stuff. And we are intimidated by gyms. And while I am probably supposed to do the very same kinds of exercises my 20-year-old is right now, I don't want to go to the gym with a bunch of 20-year-old boys. Like, nope, that does not sound like a joyous time to me. So, you also can create connection and have that dual purpose in your self-care. So you're doing it with a running partner, but like look for gyms in your community, look at the YMCA and see if there's, some weightlifting classes that you could do with other women. And then you've got both, the social self-care need and your body self-care need all built into one 35-minute, 45-minute endeavor. That's awesome. Great. Do it.
Yeah. So for you, Natalie, what I would recommend is, talking with your son and saying, hey, can you commit to twice a week helping me so that, especially as we start lifting heavier, we need somebody to spot us. We need that spotter. And I have another woman who actually has brought her son in to help her on those 2 days because he has his own workout. He has his buddies, but man, talk about connection time with a child. Yeah. Yeah. So
with your kids. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, I hope listeners that you have gathered some wisdom about menopause, about midlife health. And Mary Bushkuhl has shared with us a lot of wisdom over these last 3 episodes. So please, bookmark these and send them to a friend if you think that this is something that they need to hear too. I really am all about empowering women in 2024 to really understand our body minds a lot better. I'm going to be bringing in experts like Mary to help navigate this with us and give us this good information. And certainly, as I've said in the notes, I'll have links to all of Mary's stuff. So be sure to click on that and look at her programs because maybe Mary would be a good fit for you. Even if she's not in your neck of the woods, it sounds like she does stuff online as well. And so please be sure to look that up as well. Thank you so much, Mary, for joining us. I really have appreciated this time.
Well, I am honored to be here. I am so glad that we had a connection and that I can help you. And I'm also glad that I subscribe to your podcast because you have some great stuff that you have shared, and the people that you've had on also. The one psychologist who's in your area, oh my gosh, some of the things she said, I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. This is great.
Yep. Well, everybody, I hope that we are all avoiding a midlife crisis and stepping into our centered life thriving. Because I am a licensed clinical psychologist in the state of Minnesota, I have to make sure at the end of each of these episodes that I give you the disclaimer that none of the material that I talk about in these podcasts is meant to replace any kind of therapy or formal medical or mental health treatment. And in fact, anything that I offer on my website, my coaching programs, any kind of psychoeducational materials that I release are not a replacement for that level of care. So just take that into account when you listen. This is information for you, and hopefully you find it of value, both as an educational tool and for your entertainment. And I also want to mention that if anyone you know is in a mental health crisis, needs additional help, I always include these 2 crisis resources. They're available to anybody. Pick up the phone and dial 888 for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And you can always visit their website at suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Additionally, there's actually a crisis text line. So if you're not somebody that likes to pick up the phone, then please text 741-741 to the crisis text line. And you can find them online at crisistextline.org. Thank you for listening to my podcast, and I hope that you like and follow me wherever you get your podcasts, and maybe consider leaving me a review. It always helps me to keep this podcast relevant when I know what you want to hear about.